On April 24, 1964, an American police officer named Lonnie Zamora spotted a strange object streak through the sky over a highway outside of Socorro, New Mexico. The object was between half a mile to a mile away, shooting off towards the southwest. It left a trail of bluish-orange flames and made a roaring noise as it passed overhead. Curious as to what it was, Officer Zamora followed the object over a steep hill, catching up with it as it lay rested on the summit. What Zamora saw then has never been adequately explained. When Officer Zamora first caught sight of the object coming over the peak of the hill, he thought he was looking at an overturned car. He noticed two people in white uniforms standing next to it, so he drove over to offer some help. As he got closer, he realized that the object was no car at all. Zamora described it as a smooth, oval-shaped craft that shone with the luster of aluminum, though it was white rather than chrome. It was supported by 4 legs that angled off in each cardinal direction, and bore a prominent red insignia that Zamora was able to commit to memory. As he approached the object, Zamora noticed that he startled the people standing next to it. He lost sight of them for a while as he drove around a hill, but shortly after he parked his squad car and climbed out to investigate, Zamora noticed the people were no longer in view. As he stood staring at the object from no more than 150 feet away, he heard a series of sounds that resembled the slamming of metal doors. The object then made a loud roaring noise and began to shoot flames from its underside. Zamora ran for cover as the object lifted off the ground, while emitting an increasingly loud roar that sharpened in pitch as it ascended. Zamora ran back to his car and radioed into the sheriff's office, describing the encounter as he watched the object shoot off across the horizon and disappear from sight. As he waited for backup, he noticed a few burning bushes near the scene of the encounter. He was soon joined by his friend and fellow officer, Sergeant Chavez, who also observed the smoldering bushes and who pointed out some deep symmetrical gouges in the sand around the launch site. Air Force Captain Richard T. Holder, who was stationed at the nearby White Sands Missile Range, was sent to the scene within an hour and a half of the encounter to perform an investigation. Holder immediately had the scene designated a sensitive area and took the case from the state police. He and his men scoured the surrounding desert for clues of a hoax, but every piece of evidence they discovered only confirmed what Zamora had reported. In an interview with Unsolved Mysteries in the early 1990s, Holder discussed the investigation and expressed great confidence in the reliability of Zamora's report. Still, he could not ascertain the origin of the oval-shaped craft. Zamora's sighting became a big press story and attracted a swarm of investigators. Researchers from a number of private UFO organizations were there, as were officers from the Air Force and from the FBI. J. Allen Hynek, the scientific consultant with the Air Force UFO research group Project Blue Book, arrived at the scene within 4 days of the encounter. He interviewed Chavez and Zamora, finding them both to be highly credible witnesses. He was particularly impressed by Zamora's character and could not bring himself to believe that such an honest and diligent officer would have orchestrated a hoax. The case had a profound impact on Hynek's view of the UFO phenomenon. Throughout his years as scientific consultant to Project Blue Book, Hynek had always affirmed that all sightings could be explained by conventional means. But Zamora's sighting offered all the hard evidence that he demanded of a credible UFO report. He was uncharacteristically outspoken in his dissatisfaction with the Air Force's handling of the situation, and for the remainder of his time with Project Blue Book, he would openly criticize the military's biased approach to UFO research. Unfortunately, Hynek's voice fell on deaf ears. Just 6 years after the Lonnie Zamora incident, the Air Force closed Project Blue Book on the presumption that nothing of value could come from investigating UFO reports. Zamora's sighting remains officially attributed to an experimental military test craft. While this theory is impossible to disprove, it's worth noting that even today, nearly 50 years after the encounter, this hypothetical craft has never been made public.